You are thinking right now, or at least you believe you are. But what if I told you that the last truly original thought you had was years ago, and that since then, something else has been doing it for you? Carl Jung warned us this would happen 70 years ago. Nobody listened. Jung spent his life studying one question: what happens to a human mind when it loses contact with itself? He watched industrialization tear people from their roots, from their inner lives, and he watched the individual disappear into what he called mass man. A person who no longer thinks, Xiao only reacts, who does not choose his beliefs. He inherits them from the loudest voice in the room. Jung called this psychological inflation, the feeling of knowledge without the substance of it. In 1958, Jung gave his final major interview. He was 83, and he was frightened. We are living in what the Greeks called the kairos, the right moment, for a metamorphosis of the gods, of the fundamental principles and symbols. This peculiarity of our time is the expression of the unconscious man within us who is changing. He was describing something deeper than technology, the slow death of the interior life, the replacement of real thinking with the performance of thinking. He called it the surrender of the inner life to outer noise. He could not have imagined the instrument that would complete this process, but he described it perfectly, decades before it existed. In 2022, something arrived, and the world opened its mind to it completely. Artificial intelligence, a machine that thinks, or appears to. And within months, hundreds of millions of people stopped thinking for themselves. They began asking it what to believe, what to say, how to feel, what to want. Jung called the inner voice the self, capital S, the deepest part of who you are. Not your opinions, not your preferences, the part that exists beneath all of that. And the self requires silence, solitude, friction, the discomfort of not knowing. AI removes all of that, instantly. Every question answered in 3 seconds, every uncertainty resolved, every discomfort removed before it can teach you anything. Jung understood that the struggle is the point, that the not knowing is where the self is built. And we have just handed that struggle to a machine. For the first time in human history, we have outsourced the one thing that was irreducibly ours, the act of thinking itself. Jung had a concept he called the shadow, the part of yourself you refuse to see, your fears, your failures, your contradictions. Jung said, if you do not consciously integrate your shadow, it will control you unconsciously. It will project onto others, become rage, tribalism, fear. AI does not show you your shadow. It removes your shadow from your awareness entirely. You feel conflicted? AI resolves it. You feel uncertain? AI removes it. You feel challenged? AI validates you. One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. But AI cannot make the darkness conscious. It can only hide it more efficiently. And a shadow that has not been integrated does not disappear. It grows. An entire generation outsourcing their psychological development to a machine is not developing. They are deferring it. And deferred development does not wait. It deforms. This is what Jung meant when he said, the greatest burden a child must bear is the unlived life of its parents. Jung had a word for the process of becoming a full human being. He called it individuation. It is not self-improvement. It is not optimization. It is the struggle to become who you actually are. It requires that you sit with your uncertainty, that you encounter your own darkness and not run from it. And this is the part that AI makes impossible. It requires that you not know. The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. AI does not let you not know. It answers before the silence can do its work. And the silence is where you live. The silence is where grief is processed, where creativity is born, where the question forms that changes everything. Every time you fill that silence with AI, you rob yourself of what the silence was building. You're not becoming more informed. You're becoming more dependent and less yourself. Jung believed in the collective unconscious, a deep layer of mind shared by all humanity. The archetypes, the hero, the shadow, symbols that appear in every human culture because they emerge from something beneath culture. AI is now being trained on all of this, on all of human thought, all of human story, all of human symbol. And then it feeds it back to us, filtered, averaged, safe, profitable. It is building a false collective unconscious. And we are downloading it directly into the part of us that is supposed to be most uniquely ours. Your vision will become clear only when you look into your heart. Who looks outside dreams. Who looks inside awakens. Jung warned that a person who does not do the inner work becomes a vehicle for forces they do not understand. That force now has a name, and it has a chat interface, and it is very, very polite. So what do we do? Jung did not offer easy answers. He said the first act of a conscious person is to stop outsourcing their discomfort. Not to abandon technology, but to reclaim the processes that technology is replacing. To sit with your uncertainty. To write through your confusion by hand. To let a question exist without immediately answering it. The question is not whether AI is useful. It is. The question is, what are you using it for? Are you using it as a tool that serves your thinking, or as a replacement for your thinking? Jung said individuation is not a destination. It is a direction. You do not arrive. You orient. Jung died in 1961. He had spent his entire adult life trying to answer one question. What does it cost a person to never truly meet themselves? The machine will not answer that question. It cannot. Only you can. And only if you choose to ask it.